Hello everyone, this is Kweku from Next Gen Windows, and today I bring you a throwback. Windows 98, second edition, not ME, but just second edition. And basically Windows 98 was a very old operating system that came out years ago. It didn't come out, and I don't know if it came out exactly in 98. I forgot the year it came out, but you can see it's very dated. And I'm doing this mainly because it's a good throwback from where we're at now with Windows 10, where everything looks brand new. So let me go full screen. So you can see here, this is Windows 98. You can see this is the taskbar down here. You can resize the little quick action bar instead of having things where it is in Windows 7 and I believe Vista. No, I think it's just Windows 7 and Windows 7, 8, and 10, where you can just put infinite icons at the bottom of here. Windows 98 only allowed you as much as what's between these two bars down here. So if you had any more, you needed to actually increase the size or just increase the girth of, no pun intended, the girth of the start menus. So if you looked right here, I mean the taskbar. So if you looked right here, I can quickly, if I wanted to add more quick launch icons, I could go down and you can see it's the small amount. Then I can resize them. If I want it small, I can resize them. I believe the minimum is 3. And then if I wanted to add more than 3, I either had to expand this wider or drag the taskbar up. And then you notice the arrow goes down to the next line. All I have to do is drag the arrow out and up to this line, and it brings it right there. And if I remember correctly, this is exactly how my dad had his setup, where he would have a double row of things here, of icons here, that he's currently running, and then he'd have a ton of programs just loaded up right here, so he never had to open up the start menu. So it was very interesting that that's how he did it. And yes, in Windows 10 and 8 and all the other operating systems, you can still expand this. You can just still drag this thing. It kind of gets ridiculous if you're starting to go like halfway and you have that many programs. But let's just shrink it down to 2. 2 seems good enough. Another thing that you should be able to do, yes you can, you should be able to snap to the sides, the top, the other side, and back down. You can do that in current versions of Windows as well. You cannot unfortunately lock the taskbar, so that's something you just can't do. You can see here I can't lock the taskbar. You can make small icons. You can auto hide the taskbar, which I never do. Show the clock inside. I don't know who would not show the clock, but you can choose not to do that. And then there's other things here you can use to customize the start menu slash taskbar here. So also, if you go into the start menu itself, you see Windows Update. Windows Update is still there back in the day, and it was pretty much the only way we would update anything on Windows back in the day, with the dial-up days and all that stuff. 56K modems that took hours to just load up a single web page, and then on top of that, you couldn't use your phone line because it was connected. Your phone line was connected to your computer, which had a built-in modem. And when you wanted to get on the internet, you would have to go into something like AOL and connect to it in order for you to be able to get online, in which case things took forever. There was really not much online, but if you wanted to get online, you could, but those are the only ways you could do it. But aside from that story, you can see there's my documents up here. My documents, for some reason, only has my pictures. There's no pictures in it because I haven't done any pictures. I'll go to Paint in just a second. Then you can see different views of the file manager here. Make it small, make it large, view as a web page. That was one thing that was neat, that was weird and off in previous versions of Windows, is you could set an active desktop. An active desktop, you can view it as a web page, which is very interesting, which means your desktop would constantly be loading information, which made your computer way slower. And on top of that, it doesn't bother for this one, but on top of that, you could actually interact with your desktop by clicking on a link that was on the page. So right here, kind of skipping around, but right here, if I wanted to just do that, hit none, no background, and then let me see. There we go. See, you can see how it jerked around, and it kind of messed itself up because of that. So let me do this and not view it as a web page, and now it's blank. And if I want to view it as a web page again, you can see it kind of gets the little staticky things, mainly because I'm not on the internet, so that really doesn't work anyway. But right here, there was no way you could double shake to do that, to make it go straight to desktop. And in fact, we didn't even have this icon here, this little thing in the corner. in new versions of Windows, most people don't realize it, but there's actually a thing over here right next to the clock where if you hover over it, it'll light up and you can click on it and it'll minimize everything and take you straight to the desktop. That wasn't there in this version of Windows. That was pretty recent. So in fact, you had to click show desktop and then it minimized everything and brought you to the desktop. If you wanted to bring it back up, you could do that. It brought back all the things that you were doing in one click. So that was another interesting thing. We also had screensavers. That was the day that most people did use screensavers. I remember this one specifically. Let's view a preview. Oops, I moved my mouse. I remember this screensaver specifically. That was like the most mesmerizing thing I had ever seen in my life, because we never saw 3D objects really back in the day on Windows. We mostly saw these flat things that didn't really have any depth and really couldn't render 3D that well. As you can see here, it's kind of pixelated even though back in this day, this was a really high quality thing for us. Like, that looked really nice. It looked really cool because Microsoft seemed like they were trying to show off the 3D capabilities of Windows at the time. So you can see it's even Energy Star efficient. I can set my monitor, whether it's a portable laptop or home and desktop. So it's a really interesting operating system. Another thing, a few little things I want to show you now is just my computer. If I go to properties, right click my computer, even in these days, and go to properties, you can see your computer's information. So it's registered to me. And device manager is still there. Performance is there, 88% free. I wonder why. I'm using a 32-bit file system, which now most computers use 64-bit. 512 megabytes of RAM. That's complete overkill for Windows 98. I was on the internet and I was looking for the recommended amount of memory for or RAM for Windows 98, and they said the maximum you should choose is like 64 megabytes. And I was like, wait, that can't be, because I have 8 gigabytes on Windows 10, and that's kind of overkill for even Windows 10, kind of, depending on what you're running. But 512 in these days was pretty much like a supercomputer at that point. It was way faster than anything you would ever needed, and there's just no need for that much space. You can see graphics. I can set hardware acceleration. Obviously, it's set to full. Virtual memory, I don't need virtual memory. File system. And the role of this computer is a desktop computer. You can see different things like that. Enable right behind caching on removable disk drives. One thing that I wasn't going to try is plugging in a flash drive to Windows 98. The reason why I'm not doing that is because flash drives didn't even exist. It was just mice and keyboards. In fact, most mice and keyboards didn't even use USB. USB was kind of a new thing. Most mice and keyboards, they use, I think, the PS2 ports. It's PS/2 ports in the back of your computer. A lot of computers still do have that port, especially if you get a desktop. But basically, it's a circular port that was a different, either purple or like a tealish color or green. And you can plug your mouse and keyboard into it. If it was purple/green or teal, you could plug a mouse or keyboard in that same port. So it was very interesting that you could do that in that version. Now we have USB ports for everything and DisplayPort and stuff. So one of the last things I'm going to show you also is Internet Explorer. So I don't have internet access, obviously, so let me stop right there. But when you failed at loading a web page, this is kind of what would show up. Obviously, it wouldn't say action canceled. It would say something else, but it would say like Explorer was unable to link to the web page. So this is how it would look like. It didn't look all nice and fancy or just blank when you couldn't load a web page. It looked like this. It looked like a lot of text. And that's the trend that you can see from things back in the day like this. Everything was text. Everything had Microsoft's branding on it right there. Microsoft's the Windows logo right there. Everything was just there. And when you wanted to print, you could either print here or you could print there. That's something you don't see in recent versions of Windows. You don't see the ability to print right up front. You have to click File and then go down to Print. And then when you wanted to print, fortunately I don't have a printer plugged into this device either. But on top of that, yeah, that was an interesting throwback to Windows 98 second edition. The total install said about 500 megabytes to install this whole thing. So next week, or maybe later on in the week, maybe Friday, I'll throw in another throwback, and I might even do Windows 95 second edition, or Windows 95 Plus, which was with Microsoft Plus Pack. I might even include that. That might be an interesting thing to do. And then another thing I want to see, do they have Windows Media Player? No, they do not. It doesn't look like it. They have America Online. Okay, everyone. What you have to see is this. Click here if you live in the U.S. Yes. Everyone, this was the craziest thing. This was probably the most annoying and resilient service back in the day. This is one of the only ways you could have gotten on the internet. Is AOL would send you, or America Online is what they stood for, would send you these little CDs, a CD into your mailbox at home, like your actual home address, and you would pop it in your CD-ROM drive, not DVD drive, CD-ROM drive, and you would follow the instructions to install each latest version of America Online. We didn't call it AOL, we just called it America Online to a certain point. And that's how you would get online. It would make that the screeching sound, like you were connecting to a phone line and everything when you were finished, and then you were just like done. So this is the best version available. I'm not gonna bother installing. Actually, let's see what happens if I install this. It shouldn't take long at all. Let's see. But that was the way you got on the internet, mainly was through AOL. AOL was the service that you used. So once this finishes and I just show you AOL, just how it looked like when you started it up, then I will end this video at that point. So let's wait till this finishes. There you go. America Online is finished. So this is what it looked like right here. I remember this very clearly. This is what AOL looked like, or America Online looked like back in the day, when they were really popular. They were like one of the top internet providers. Yes, they were an internet provider, and you would connect with AOL, and it would provide you like nice user interface access to your email, writing an email, mail center files, your basic stuff, internet access, quotes for like auto stuff, weather, and just everything. Your people with AOL Instant Messenger, which was the major thing back then. It's still out now, but it's not really used anymore. But yeah, so that is about it. That is Windows 98. It was a nice throwback into the past. Can I please exit out of this? Thank you. Minimize. There we go. So that was Windows 98. It's an interesting thing that you could have back in the days, Windows 98. So yeah, if you have any comments, questions, or anything regarding Windows, let me know in the comment section below. As always, I'll catch you guys later. Peace.